Okay, so this is just a review of the tutorial sheets, and the first question was a revision exercise on analysis of vector operations. So you're asked here that for given vectors v1 and v2, which are given here, and you're told that you have the gradient here, so you can find the angle from this. Here you're given the angle itself, so you can find the two lengths because you know the magnitude. And so really the first step is to find the vectors. So the first step is to find these two vectors in their component form, and we use I and j for that purpose, x and y coordinates. And once you have that, you can start to answer some of the questions. So the first one, A, is saying the sum of v1 and v2, where you can see they're in light face, so they're the scalar quantities, and we note here that the light font is equal to the magnitude of the vector, the bold font. And so really we know already these scalar values from the question, 15 and 12, so the answer to A is simply the sum of 15 and 12, 27. For B, this time you do a proper vector addition. You have the two components and you add them in component-wise fashion. So for I, it's the sum of 12 and minus 6, so 6. And for J, it's the sum of 9, 9 and 10.39. So the total for combined sum of v1 and v2, the vector, is 6i plus 19.39j. Similarly, for C, the subtraction operation is done component-wise, and care has to be taken for the sign of the components. For D, we're looking at the cross product. So D and E demonstrates the cross product of two vectors, and of course they're anti-commutative, which means that D is going to be the negative of E, because of course the direction matters, the order matters. If they're negative and the cross product of two vectors gives you a component orthogonal to the two vectors, this is I and j, then the orthogonal one is going to give you k, and so it's going to either be in the positive direction or the negative direction. So looking at the example here, v1 cross v2 is going to give you something coming out of the page, v2 cross v1 is going to give you something going into the page. Okay, so to find the actual numbers, several ways to do it. Perhaps the easiest is to write it out similar to this, and then say, okay, for the I component, you take the sum of the diagonal here minus the reverse diagonal sum. So for these quantities, it's those given here, and it gives you a total of 178.7 in the k direction. And as I've said just previously, if you, instead of doing v1 cross v2, you do now v2 cross v1, these are going to be equal to the negative of this one. So it's going to be equal to minus 178k. And finally, the dot product. The dot product is going to give you a scalar, of course, and it's a term by term product summed together. So the product of 12 and minus 6 plus 9 and 10.39 gives you the answer of 21.51.